Hi, everybody. Oh, coming out. Yeah, I'm Eli Tan. I'm a reporter at CoinDesk. I'll be moderating the panel. With me, I have the great Lesley Silverman she's the head of digital assets at United Talent Agency. I have Michelle Munson, who is the CEO and co-founder of Eluvio. And then Avner, Ronen, who runs product development at Samsung Electronics. So, yeah, the topic we have today. Yeah, give it up, everybody. The topic today is charting a path for mainstream adoption of Web3, and I couldn't really think of, a better topic for a place like South by Southwest, right? Traditionally, about film and art, and then now is kind of, moving into this more, digital space, this Web3 space. So it would be great, I guess, just to hear from everybody about, your positions and kind of what brings you here today and into Web3.
You want me to start?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, thank you so much, and good morning, everyone. I'm Lesley Silverman. I run digital assets for UTA. More succinctly, I run our Web3 practice, and I'm really excited to be here. I mean, seeing so many people around just interested in what's happening in the blockchain space means that we are charting a course for mass adoption, so really, really exciting. So I work at United Talent Agency, which is one of the big three talent agencies in Hollywood, and I got really excited about what was happening in the NFT space toward the end of 2020, going into 2021. My background is in art, and so I saw that there were digital artists who were participating in this new space and making a profit, but also participating in their long tail revenue and through the royalties in the smart contract. And I thought this was going to be really exciting and disruptive for the art market. And what I believe today and what we're working on at UTA is helping the entire media landscape interact with the blockchain space because I believe that it's here for the long term.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Michelle Munson, CEO of Eluvio. First of all, such a pleasure to be on a panel with Lesley and Avner on this topic. Eluvio is kind of different. Just to put it in context, we're the platform that will be powering the Dolly event on Friday, as well as the album release as an NFT, which is part of that. And we are a platform that's really designed for hopefully what becomes the creator economy and is emergent now. My background is in technology. This is the second company that I founded and created. I started Aspera early in my career, which is a high-speed file transport technology. And back in the day in media, this was a big problem, moving data from point to point. And in 2017, as I was thinking about what I wanted to do next, along with some of my colleagues, we felt like there might be an opportunity to really change how video and content is stored and distributed and monetized. We took a really big step to create a new open protocol and platform called the Content Fabric. This was in 2017 summer starting and getting on into 2018. We launched that in 2019. This was all before NFTs became all the rage, before people really understood what tokenization meant. Fast forward through what's happened the last year and a half or so, and it's really opened up the possibility of seeing media ownership on the blockchain in a whole new way. So our role with creators is really to make possible direct distribution of content that can then be owned by the audience in their wallets as tokenized assets. And we're really excited to see what's becoming possible both through these new music releases and also looking at more novel forms of video NFTs that include live channels, as well as what you might think of as sort of subscription-based episodic content that's tied directly to the NFT. And hopefully we can talk a little bit more about that as the panel goes on.
And I'm Avner from Samsung. And, Samsung is the #1 consumer electronics company, both in terms of phones, and TVs, and we're excited to see how we can help make Web3 in general, NFTs specifically, more accessible to the mainstream audience. Where we got more involved with NFTs recently is on our TV side. We have the Frame TV, which looks like a frame for an art piece, but it's also a television. So when you turn it off, you can see art. And we've been doing it since 2017. We have 2,000 pieces of art from different galleries and artists. And for us, the move to NFTs is exciting because that means there's much more content that people can bring into their living rooms and different rooms where they put those screens up, and new ways for artists to monetize their art. And frankly, for the audience, people are buying NFTs, spending money, but then it sits on your phone. You need to show it to people, look what I have. But being able to present it in rich format on the TV, we think is a much better experience, and we're going to try and make it easier for people.
Got it. So I'd be interested in hearing from each of you, because obviously you're all representative of your companies, your brands. If there was kind of a personal moment where you kind of got into Web3. I know that conventions like this, they can be kind of eclectic, right? But at the end of the day, I think everyone has that kind of first moment where it's either like their first NFT they bought they really love, or their first time in Decentraland and any kind of metaverse, right? So I'd be interested in hearing just if you guys all kind of had that moment, or if it was more of like a business first and then kind of the personal interests lag behind.
Well, I can say that in late 2020, as many of us were, I was in my house and hanging out on Clubhouse. And that was my first personal moment of recognition that, I knew about crypto. I bought some crypto in 2017. But my initial thought when I jumped on Clubhouse and saw that almost every room was dedicated to talking about crypto, my initial thought was, oh, I guess crypto's a thing again. And I know how, there are folks like Michelle and others who've really been around and have sort of been building quietly in the background all of the things that we're now talking about today since 2017. But my sort of outsider perspective is like, wow, okay, so something's really happening here. And then for me, I was an attorney. I'm still an attorney, not practicing, but having joined a talent agency to focus on visual artists, my big kind of personal moment and excitement about this, like I said, was seeing artists participate in their secondary market through the smart contract. And for me, my brain exploded. I see myself as like a connector or a service person, helping amazing, original ideas be brought to life. And I just thought that royalties thing was a real thing. And it's, it has the potential to invert a lot of the structures that have been built in media, over the past decade, and make them more advantageous for creators. And I get personally excited about that. And then my first NFT was a gift from one of my now clients, Thank You X, and it was a birthday gift. So yesterday was my birthday. And so yesterday was the 1-year anniversary of receipt of my first NFT. And it's, I still hold it today. I will hodl it.
My story will probably tell you a lot about me. My actual first real aha moment for all of this was when I was sitting in a WeWork-ish kind of space in New York reading the Ethereum white paper. So I'm a technologist. I make new technology. That's what I've done my whole life. And like Lesley, I knew a little bit about blockchain at that point, and I'm going to tell you more in a second about that. I'm also from Berkeley, and I hang out a lot at UC Berkeley, which is really big in the blockchain space. But at that time, the programmability aspect really electrified my thoughts. We were already creating this dynamic content protocol that itself is programmable for storing and delivering, outputting media at global scale. That's something we invented out of our heads. Shaban, myself, right, starting this whole idea of the fabric. And as we were thinking about making it inherently a blockchain, we started reading really deeply on what Ethereum is capable of in terms of essentially programmability around what is the provenance, the ownership, and in our case, the versioning, the access control, right, around media. Then, fast forward a few months later, I started to go deeper into the space, and this is also good for the women in the audience. I was pregnant with my second kid, and I couldn't do that much in terms of actual software development, especially in the later parts of that. So I spent all of my time basically going to campus, attending blockchain at Berkeley, going to all the meetups, and also just studying online, everything going on. That was getting into 2018. Then, like Lesley, a couple years later, and Dan Vecchi knows, he's standing right there, going into South by when we were going to launch Eluvio Live, which is a application layer, complete turnkey solution on top of the fabric for creators. I discovered NFTs, and I decided to mint one using the fabric's capabilities, one of my colleagues, and I minted my talk, my South by Southwest talk last year. And that, for me, was the wake-up moment that I can connect what the fabric already does with NFTs as this simple, well-understood way for someone to own on the blockchain and make it possible to personalize this media delivery directly to the person I wanted to have. So that's my story.
Yeah, I have to say that I don't have like first kiss, losing virginity type of moment for NFTs. I think the first maybe project I heard of was CryptoKitties, and one of our investors at the time told us about it. I thought it was stupid. Then he said, cyberpunks. I thought that was stupid too. So that's kind of how I got started. Not a great track record. My first NFT that I bought, I think, was actually a piece of art that I could display on my TV.
Okay.
Yeah.
We need you here to ground us.
Samsung TV, of course.
Of course.
Yeah. My first NFT, I minted a lazy lion back in the day. If anyone's a lazy lion holder here, but my special talent, every time I buy into a collection, the floor just drops right from under me every single time. So I've kind of stopped trying to, time projects and make money off that type of stuff.
Between our instincts, we can be billionaires.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyone else here have that talent? Yeah? No? Okay.
A couple
Just
people.
Eli.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. You too.
Yeah.
Me too, by the way.
But
Us three.
Lesley, a question for you. I know that I had written an article a while ago about UTA signing CryptoPunks, and the IP for that to be, I think the title was something like CryptoPunks might come to Hollywood or something like that. And I know they've been in the news just yesterday with Yuga Labs. Apes bought punks, kind of a big conversation. Are we cheering for Apes buying punks?
I see you.
Okay, you got the
you.
board. But it'd be interesting to hear from you about. How do you plan to get, a collection like punks on TVs, right? I kind of had some mixed emotions thinking about it. Like, do I want to watch like a CryptoPunk movie, right? Sounds like a, worse version of like a Lego movie or something like that. But what's kind of the long-term vision with that?
Well, I will say that, the thing that informed my decision to reach out to the creators of punks and Meebits back in, I guess, last summer, maybe last spring, was the same impetus that I had around joining UTA in 2015 and signing visual artists. It was, back then it was pretty revolutionary for a talent agency to think about visual artists as traditional talent. And we worked with artists like Ai Weiwei, helping him turn his amazing ideas into film. And so I believed that same premise would be true of this new space of creators that have emerged in the blockchain ecosystem. And so even before I started working with Matt and John, Larva Labs, I started signing artists who are coming out of the Web3 space. And I believe that just like in 2008 when YouTube started, it wasn't, Reese Witherspoon and Gwyneth Paltrow who were emerging as the YouTube talent. It was all of these new creators, these new creators who are now, have hundreds of millions of followers and really engaged fans and audiences. And I believe because blockchain is less about creating an audience and more about creating community. You just mentioned you're in the Lazy Lions community. You know, somebody was showing me their NFTs yesterday, and instead of saying, I bought this, I bought that, he said, I joined this, I joined that, right? If we can think about fandom as a whole as being more like that, then there's going to be this whole new legion of creators, including Matt and John, including my clients, Thank You X, Diana Sinclair, all these incredible artists who are going to have careers that expand outside of just, you know, selling their NFTs and engaging with their audiences that way. And so that's the vision, you know, and how that happens, it'll take some really interesting folks like Michelle, like Avner, to help bring those ideas to life, you know, give us places to see them, give us places to engage with them, have narrative storytelling around them. And I believe all of that is going to happen really quickly.
But there's kind of some danger on the mainstream level, right? In terms of, you know, celebrities onboarding people to the space as opposed to like more Web3 native, you know, creators. Like I'm thinking, you know, Reese Witherspoon, it's like, you see her enter the space and it's like, does she care about my community or is she trying to sell me, you know, her NFTs? Has that been something that you've had to balance working with people that are kind of already established for non-Web3?
Oh, I think we need so many bridges. You know, I consider myself a bridge and a translator. I consider my team bridges and translators. I consider some of the mainstream talent who've entered this space early and sort of planted a flag as bridges and translators. And this is a really complicated technology, and we're really early in it. So still people want to understand, like, where are the cables buried? And how does this computer talk to that computer? And it's like, we won't be thinking about the blockchain space that way in months and years from now. But for today, people are really confused about how to engage with it because it's a really friction-filled experience. So if, you know, folks get onboarded through seeing, you know, their favorite celebrity engaging with the communities in the ecosystem, come on in, you know? We need to onboard, I mean, that's the topic of our conversation today. We need to onboard the next, you know, millions of fans and collectors and enthusiasts into this space in order for it to have long-term health, so.
And I think on that note, there's a lot that technology can do and will do to help this. You know, part of the reason we're involved with this here with BCL is because we worked a lot on sort of the center point issues for mainstream adoption of, I call it tokenization of media, NFTs being sort of the first wave of that. And what I mean by that is a few things. First of all, getting it inexpensive enough to do it over and over at scale where not everything has to cost so much, right? And that's a lot of things to do with what happens between the source of that content, right, and the token that's in your wallet that links up to the media experience. The second thing is also the comfort level the user feels with what they're using in order to access media this way, right? I mean, the wallet's always pointed at, so that's a first point of innovation. We happen to made a media wallet that is a crypto wallet that is a native media experience. But the point there is that it is the touch point or the personal app for the users, and with some innovation in that area, it becomes possible to make that feel like entertainment for people, feel like my application, as opposed to just a bunch of crypto transactions, which oftentimes just go wrong in a traditional way. And then I think a third thing about this is what Lesley said, having the ability, and the tech can help this immensely, so that an individual creator or a larger, more well-known star, celebrity, entertainer, what have you, can actually create their own fan outreach. Again, easily, without a lot of tech setup, and doing it with, you know, relatively low cost. And I think that's not been the case with most of the sort of custodial marketplaces that we have out there. It's sort of get your stuff to fit into this model and publish it here so people can go jump on and buy it, right? Instead of putting the emphasis on the content that is really where the value is, and that's really what the, you know, creator to audience experience can be to have the community unlock. And I feel like with those problems solved, it starts to let these communities get much bigger. We happen to also power the Maskverse, which you've seen probably some of the art from. That community has a lot of people who weren't crypto savvy when they started. It's a television show. It's a Middle America television show, a US-wide traditional kind of audience. And so bringing those folks on board into a crypto experience that is fun for them and easy for them, where they can acquire NFTs fast and easily and have them in their wallet and trade them, and also just feel comfortable. I think that's kind of what I think of as opening the mainstream.
Great. Yeah, my next question is for Avner. More of a curveball, maybe. I'm thinking about Web3, right? It's not really a tenet of Web3 that all the Web2 companies get to come along for the ride, right? Like, there are plenty of companies that are kind of maybe positioned as kind of the Web3 Samsung that don't really want to see Samsung in the metaverse or in Web3, or maybe even survive in the long term with this technology. In what ways do you guys have to then position yourselves where, on the one hand, you're kind of reaching across the aisle, right? Saying, okay, we're a traditional Web2 company and we want to do Web3 stuff.
We're more than a Web 1 company.
Web
I don't know
1,
that we made it to Web 2.
Even less, yeah.
No, I think definitely big companies, Samsung included, could be very cringy, honestly, when approaching NFT and the audience. I hope we'll be smart enough not to do it. I can't guarantee it. But I think for us, maybe the most important role that we could play at this point in the ecosystem is to make it easier for people to engage. Anybody that has our phone, anybody that has our TV, how do we remove that friction that Michelle mentioned? So it's about just people connecting with creators that they like, with projects that they like, that they're getting involved, and they don't need to be uber geeks. They don't need to install multiple wallets, remember passphrases, buy on exchanges. Like, it's way too complicated. So I'm looking forward to the day where we don't talk about any of the underlying tech, and it's just about interacting with digital assets and with people and DAOs coming together. And our role, honestly, if we do it well, is just to make it easier, which we haven't figured out yet, but we're definitely paying attention to it. And I agree with you that it's so different than Web 2 that we'll probably see some of those Web 2 companies, being able to make that bridge, but probably we'll see a lot of new brands and companies being created, and hopefully not just companies, but just individuals coming together as co-ops, and looking forward to this distributed future of the web. Not a big fan of the current version.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. You've got Web 2 companies doing Web 3 things, Web 3 doing Web 2. You've got the Facebooks just kind of running around with their heads chopped off. I feel like that's now a theme
I
for a lot of companies.
wouldn't worry about them, but we're like for the older people in the crowd, we're like in the web pre-Netscape kind of stage. That's where we're at. So anybody here that even understands it, I think, is way ahead of the game. And once we have the equivalent of Netscape that makes it accessible for everyone, then it gets interesting. And some companies will be savvy about it and some not. But that's the nature of things.
Okay. Yeah, I'll pitch a similar question to you guys just about challenges you faced in the last few months. I know in the space it's great to talk about all the good stuff going on, right? Pumping your bags, all the great technology, but I'm sure that there's been a healthy amount of challenges as there are successes, just with your company specifically.
I'll speak to a couple of things. I think we're part of a whole ecosystem, and I think that one of the most challenging things around what's going on in this space right now is, if I could put it this way, safety. We have seen several projects that we're connected to, and fortunately, we have a core technology and a custodial wallet and have managed to avoid these things. But adjacent projects that are involved in kind of the, how do I put it, sort of the unmitigated Discord / open totally open space have really suffered from some challenging attacks, phishing attacks where people lose money, projects lose trust, right? That's no big surprise in a relatively early phase of crypto, but I think that it also underscores, and for me this is different. I don't usually talk to this, but the importance of robust, correct technology. We take a lot of effort and pride in the way we do our work to ensure that we can bring that to the space. And this is one time where I've thought, I should say more about this, because without that kind of correctness and reliability in how things are done, people can suffer and lose money, right? Certainly lose confidence in great creative projects. So I think that's one, and Avner said it, I think there's going to be a great distilling over the next year to two about what's real, what works, what's trustworthy, what's secure, versus what's just there. Too early for that to have entirely happened yet. Second thing I want to say about all this that is, I think, less a challenge, more an opportunity, and you guys are so much part of this, is internet to platform-controlled content and media, guys, has so much to lose if it doesn't stay the way it's been. The trillion-dollar companies that are so powerful rely on content to audience. That is the engagement link they rely on to either directly make their money, right, or to indirectly make their money. We have an opportunity now where at some scale we can change that. Creators can make their own destiny, truly. And I'm saying this as a technologist because that has not been true on the internet before. If we don't embrace that, right, there is a risk that the internet to platforms, they're so big, they're so powerful, it's so easy to just fall into the same patterns that we're going to lose opportunities that are in front of us. I'm so happy to see the momentum from great people like Lesley that are driving huge adoption of this with creators, but it's a real thing when you see letters from people like Susan, who runs YouTube, that say something about, Web3 like. What is Web3 like if you're YouTube?
Yeah, I think if we're honest with ourselves, the main driver for people to engage today is greed, not community. It's financial asset. There's FOMO of missing out on making a lot of money. And I think as long as it lives there, we're limited and very subject to the market is, now we're in a bear market or grizzly bear market, then people go off. That's not good. So we need to get over, I think, this hump, which is an interesting way for a new technology to arrive. I think first in the internet history that it's so driven by greed. I think once we get off the greed train and more towards community and people getting really involved, then I think the more interesting things are going to happen.
Well, I'd agree with both of you, which is, rare to. I really do feel aligned to everything that you said. The one thing that I'm sure some of us who are here and who've been to all of the events that have now turned into crypto events over the past, year and change, is just, my biggest hurdle has been the blinding speed of this space. 1 week we're focused on this, and the next week we're focused on that, and it's exciting, but the pace of innovation is so rapid. And I would say related to that, I talk to so many creators who come from traditional spaces, music, television, film, who want to build in this space. And the tools aren't exactly ready. It was like all of this kind of took us very much by surprise. I would say that Dapper with the Top Shot product really kicked it off going into the beginning of 2021 and demonstrated that, super passionate, engaged communities of fans, I would say integrating that around, financial gain, would drive significant revenue for a product that's selling digital goods. And so a lot of these tools are not created yet to have a full ecosystem structure for something, for example, like creating new television content, And what I'm so excited about sitting with my fellow panelists is that they both are shepherding tools that are going to make that possible. If you purchased an NFT that was laddering into an animated piece of content, and then the only way to see it was through holding a token and on a Web2 platform, I would say that is sort of a faulty execution, a very early demonstration of what's possible, but a faulty execution. And so what I'm so excited about is like a smoother execution. I think that so much can be created. I've been talking to the BCL team, the amazing team that is hosting us here today, about how we can bring back to life, projects that had millions and millions of fans that wouldn't necessarily, work for Fox, but could work through the BCL model. And I think that is so extraordinarily exciting to me.
I want to add to that. I think this has unlocked a watershed of, everybody uses the term engagement, but that's really at the heart of what it is. That is that anything that really has a fan base, this makes it possible for that direct reach to happen. It's also really getting there in terms of being able to, lightweight, more simply just stand up this creative experience that someone with a wallet can be your direct fan of. And we see countless projects that are taking content that has already existed, sometimes very long ago, and really creating a whole new, basically NFT-based offering around it that is then sort of not only like re-energizing an existing fan community, but also bringing in new folks. And I think for creativity, this is just magnificent because it opens up so much. I forgot to also say a great creator that I want to recognize sitting over here is Sheila Andreen, who has now screened 2 documentaries on the blockchain, Race to Be Human right now, which is really it's fantastic. She's CEO of IndieFlix, and she has done some incredible work early on in this, also generative NFTs that right now, these hands that evolve and are basically different for every person that the film might represent. So it's that, right, you guys, that's the game changer.
Yeah, I think we have, a few more minutes here. Maybe we could get, just closing thoughts from all of you, and then maybe get into some audience questions, if anyone has any.
Like, big closing thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know. Whatever you are thinking now from the start of the panel.
I think that, I have kids. It will be interesting for me to see the tipping point where it's more important for them to buy digital items for their avatars or their online presence. They would value that more than physical goods. I think that would be an interesting tipping point, because for many people, much of their life now, the way they interact with other people is online. And what digital goods represent is the ability to present yourself in a unique way. And you see it in Fortnite, obviously pre NFT, and you see it now with what Twitter has done with showing NFTs. It's just people putting value of their digital presence, and I think that would be a watershed moment. Like for me, and I told it to many people in the past, I had like this moment when I saw this very nice dressed woman in a fancy restaurant sitting on her table and doing like weird faces at the camera, getting Snapchat filters going. And to me, that was extremely interesting, that somebody is willing to sacrifice their physical presence, looking like they're going through a seizure, for how they're presented online to their friends on Snapchat. So that to me was the Snapchat moment. And the Instagram moment is when, and the Web3 moment would be when, rather than spend money on a Nike drop, physical drop, you'll be more interested on the Nike digital drop. That would be interesting. Or not, maybe sad, I don't know, but it's coming.
Yeah. It's definitely funny to explain to people now. I was trying to tell my friend that I bought some virtual shoes, and they were like, why would you do that? And I'm like, I don't really know. Like, I can I have them, like I own them, you know? It's like, don't you own real shoes? It's like, not on the blockchain, you know? It's a whole separate thing. But
Yeah, I'm on
I
this
don't
app
know.
that I can buy virtual shoes, and they wear out as I walk. So that's even
Yeah.
worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a perfect demonstration of, how fast-paced this is. We're collecting digital goods that we could use potentially in some sort of, virtual metaverse space, and have these wearable items for an avatar that doesn't yet exist. Like, that's kind of incredible. So UTA conducted a consumer study in the background of all of this, and we're going to be releasing the results of that next month, really just about NFT consumer habits. I don't think anything like that has been done yet, and I got to preview the results, and I'm really excited that we'll share that, with folks about why are we buying? What do we want to buy? What are we buying and what do we want to buy, and how are we going to engage with this? And I will say one thing I can say is that, and I think this will be helpful to the Samsung effort here, is that 1 in 3 people who hold an NFT have displayed it in their home. So, if we think about what is the future of not just, fandom, which I really do believe all of this kind of looks at, is what is the future of fandom? I think it's, really actively participating in a community, but it's also the idea of connoisseurship, right? So, if we're displaying these things in our homes the way we would display a painting, then we're becoming connoisseurs of digital goods. It's less about the technological, like, what wallet do I hold it in? How did I engage with the smart contract? And it's more about what communities am I a part of? How am I thinking about really like supporting digital creators, digital artists, and who are going to be, the next Banksys and Picassos and Lorna Simpsons of the world. That's what gets me really excited.
Yeah, it's just sort of building on Lesley's comments. To me, I see sort of 2 big end games, which are just totally disruptive for the way we think of ourselves as people, especially on the internet. One is the social graph that comes out of all this. This fantastic thing about token ownership is that not only is it transparent, it is a direct, emblematic display of what Lesley said, what it is I care about, what it is that I care about, right? And if you think about all this world of advertising, if you want to call it that, but the way that we monetize what people care about and their engagement, right? You've now got a way that you've made that pure. You've also made it provable, and you've also taken out this like privacy sucking machine that is internet too, right? Because what I've got there, what I've owned on the blockchain is intentionally what I want people to know that I own on the blockchain, right? And then on the other side of this, I think the other like really big end game is the creator store. Every creator's got their own damn store. That is, there's mine. Here's my stuff, right? Or every creator at least has the ability to, from their wallet, like, shoot their stuff to their store of choice or their stores of choice, reach their fans.
I've walked into meetings this past year, by the way, and people have previewed my wallet before I walked in and asked me about the works that I've collected, and that is a pretty crazy feeling. So I will just say, if you want to see some art, some digital art this week, shameless plug, but 2 of my clients are participating in a gallery called Unfold, both Thank You X and Diana Sinclair and a number of other amazing artists. So definitely pop by and check out just how you can interact with digital art in space, in addition to all of the amazing things that you can see here at the BCL house.
Yes. Yeah, I'm definitely going to check out the Dollyverse. I've been looking forward to that for a while. If anyone hasn't heard about that, that'll be funny. The Dolly
Go Dolly.
Metaverse, yeah. But yeah, I think that's all the time we have, so I want to give a round of applause to our panelists
Thank you.
here.